His YouTube channel, WooTube, has 100,000 subscribers and more than 8 million views worldwide. Now Eddie Wu has been named as one of the top 10 educators in a global teaching competition. If he wins, he will bring home more than 1.2 million. But how does Australia's most famous teacher think we can lift STEM results in this country? I spoke to him a little earlier. Eddie Wu, welcome to National Wrap.
It's so good to be here with you, Patricia. How are you going?
Good. You've been named as one of the world's top 10 educators, and if you win this prize, you're going to get over $1 million. What are you going to do with the money?
Oh, look, I have to be completely frank with you. I've got ideas, but I haven't devoted too much thought to it because I am so amazed by the other finalists who've been listed. They're people who teach in remote areas of the jungle, they're fighting gang violence, reducing teen pregnancies. I don't really know if I have that much of a shot against amazing people like that, but I just can't wait to meet them.
All right. Let's talk about the issues in this country. Universities have been blamed for dropping ATAR entries for teachers in recent years, and also lowering the academic standards of people going into teaching. Why are we doing so badly? Do we need to lift those scores? What's your view?
I feel that the whole conversation about scores and ATARs and university entry when it comes to teaching graduates kind of has a bit of a chicken and egg problem in terms of, I think the reason why the results are low, that we have often compared to other countries, we have a lower academic bar set, is that we simply don't have as many people as in other countries competing for these positions. It's a bit of a supply and demand issue. So I feel as though the real point of contact is going to be where we say, hey, teaching is a wonderful, noble profession that the best people in society ought to be aspiring toward. And then when you have people fighting to get positions in teaching degrees like they do in Finland, that's when you can say, well, let's ratchet up the bar and make sure that we get the very, very best. I think that's the real issue.
So why are we failing in STEM and maths education in this country?
I think it's probably a bit of an exaggeration to say that we're failing, because I do think that some things are really wonderful in Australian education when it comes to mathematics. I mean, I think about my colleagues in the US, and I know some of them would dream to have the kinds of opportunities I have here in Australia, where we get to teach from kindy to year 10 and have this coherent body of mathematical knowledge that we get to develop. But that doesn't mean we still don't have areas to improve upon. And I think the first issue is that mathematics is just really hard. It's a very coherent subject where if you miss out one little idea down here, times tables, you had trouble with that. Well, times tables is kind of this foundation for fractions, which is the foundation for algebra, which then goes to calculus. And so if you this is the conversation I have with people when they find out I'm a maths teacher, they say, oh, I was all right at maths until they started putting letters in the mix, and then I just was completely out to sea. Mathematics is kind of this funnel where if you can survive to this point, then you can become successful in mathematics. So there's a lot of early foundational issues which cause us to have trouble on a national level.
Well, let's go to those early foundational issues. Lots of parents are going to other programs like Kumon and other ways that they're trying to get extra help for their kids. Do you support those sorts of ways of giving kids extra help?
I think that so long as there's a real intent there to help children grow and to become more confident and fluent in their mathematics, then I'm supportive of those. But I think the main issue is to do with parents, and I include myself in this number, parents' mindset toward learning mathematics. I think in Australia, it's a very common attitude that I hear when people say, well, look, I was never really that good at maths anyway, so you'll be fine if it wasn't really a strong point. You know, focus on your reading or focus on your touch football or just do whatever else is in school that you enjoy and find natural talent at. But mathematics isn't about, people who find it easy. It's about being willing to persevere and have a growth mindset towards saying, well, I find this challenging now, but if I stick with it, if I keep on working hard and search for the support I need, I can actually grow and be successful in this subject. I think that's the real issue, that if I could have every parent sit down with me and I could convince them of one thing, it's that everyone really can do mathematics with the right support.
Let's talk about the right support though. What is the right support? You said, you think if those programs work, parents should go to them. But what should parents be demanding of their primary schools and their high schools? I mean, what sort of conversations do they need to be having about changing that experience for their children?
Well, when I think of parents, again, I come back to my own experience. My kids are 4, 7, and 9, so my oldest is in year 4. And I think that the primary thing that I want to get across to her is that mathematics, number one, is something to be worked at, as we talked about before. But number two, mathematics is everywhere. It's so crucial that no matter what walk of life you're going to enter, whatever sort of career path you're interested in, that you realize and recognize that mathematical thinking and mathematical understanding are key parts of that. So when I come to school, whenever I talk to my children's teachers, I want to make sure that I'm in partnership with them and I can help them say, okay, these are the ways that I can help my child see mathematics and numeracy all around them, and what ways can I connect that and partner with the new kinds of strategies they're learning at school. I mean, mathematics and the way that it's taught in primary schools is already different from when I was at school, and so I need to keep up to date as a parent, and having a partnership and working together with the teachers at school is the only way that's going to happen.
Former New South Wales Education Minister Andrew Pickerley has accused Anglo-Australian parents of caring too much about their children's sport and not enough about their education. I desperately want your view on this. Have you observed this too?
When Adrian Pickerley announced those words, or they were reported about him, I definitely raised an eyebrow because I've seen something very similar throughout my teaching experience that I don't think that Anglo-Australians, it's easy to just categorize in one area. I think there are all kinds of people throughout the world who definitely say, oh look, mathematics or your academics in general, that can take a back seat. I'm a real believer in a holistic education, and I think it's important that children come out of school having more than just academic skills and being able to be really good at taking tests. So I want a child to be well-rounded and have, leadership skills and the ability to work in teams and collaborate with others. But I think that it has to be kept in tension. There has to be that, I play the acoustic guitar. You can't make music unless you have tension in your strings. And so I want to make sure students have a well-balanced approach toward that. And usually that means, being able to compromise on not just spending all of your time at your books, but also not letting extracurricular activities completely take over and prevent you from, especially in mathematics, building the foundation you need without which you just cannot progress any further in life.
Students in New South Wales, Victoria and the ACT are not required to study maths at year 11 and 12. And there have been calls to make maths compulsory, just like English is. Do you think that's a good idea?
I think at the current situation where we're at, in terms of making maths compulsory, we don't even have enough maths teachers to teach it now when it's not compulsory. And so I think if you made mathematics compulsory for every single kid in the state or across the country, the shortage of trained, passionate mathematics teachers that we already have would just become even more severe. However, I do think that there's a wonderful statement that English makes when we say English is a really integral part of your functioning in society. One of the things which I ponder is that a few hundred years ago, people thought reading and writing were a special skill that only particular people had. And if that was your job, then good for you, but the rest of us don't need that. And we know much better now. We know that literacy is absolutely essential to just function in society, but we haven't come to that point yet of understanding that numeracy is the same. And when I think about when you open the newspaper and you have a look at all the numbers and patterns and statistics that just sort of jump out at you, if we don't have the tools as a citizenship body to understand what does this mean? What are the implications for me in the way that I shop, the way I work, the way I vote? If we don't have those skills as a nation, then we're in some serious trouble. So I support the learning of mathematics across the country, but compulsory mathematics for senior students, we're a ways to go before we get to that point.
Eddie Wu, I do hope you win that big prize, and congratulations again on being on the top 10.
Thank you so much. It's a real honour.